Sometimes life's greatest blessings arrive through the most chaotic circumstances. If you've ever wondered whether fate exists, this story might just convince you. Before I share how 3 unruly 5-year-olds led their exhausted father to the love of his life, a woman doctors had given just months to live, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more extraordinary true stories that remind us how unpredictable and beautiful life can be. Mark Jenkins sprinted down the sterile hospital corridor, his heart pounding against his ribs. His 5-year-old triplets, Ellie, Emma, and Ethan, had escaped during what should have been a routine checkup, scattering in different directions like marbles dropped on a hardwood floor. He'd managed to corral the girls, but Ethan remained at large, his infectious giggle echoing through the hallway as he treated the hospital like his personal playground. "Ethan! This isn't funny anymore," Mark called out, trying to keep his voice stern while balancing a squirming daughter under each arm. The girls were laughing, clearly thinking this was the best game ever. Mark, however, was mortified. 3 years into single parenthood after his wife abandoned them, he still struggled with the chaos that came with raising triplets alone. He spotted a flash of Ethan's bright red sneakers disappearing into a room at the end of the hall. With a groan, Mark hurried forward, mentally preparing his apology to whoever's privacy his son was currently invading. He burst through the doorway, nearly tripping over his own feet. "I'm so sorry about my son," the words died in his throat. The room was private, softly lit with afternoon sunlight filtering through partially drawn blinds. In the hospital bed sat a young woman with a colorful scarf wrapped around her head. Despite the obvious signs of illness, her pallor, the thinness of her face, the 4 stand beside her, she was smiling. And sitting on the edge of her bed, chattering away as if they were old friends, was Ethan. "Look, Dad. She has the same book as me." Ethan was pointing excitedly at a dog-eared copy of The Little Prince on the woman's bedside table. The woman looked up at Mark, her eyes crinkling with amusement. "Your son has excellent taste in literature," she said, her voice surprisingly strong and melodic. "I'm Catherine, by the way. Catherine Chen. But everyone calls me Kate." Mark shifted the girls in his arms, feeling heat rise to his face. "Mark Jenkins. And these are my escape artists, Ellie, Emma, and apparently you've met Ethan." He set the girls down, keeping a firm grip on their hands. "I'm really sorry about barging in like this." Kate waved away his apology. "Best interruption I've had in weeks. Hospital rooms get lonely." Something in her expression, a quiet resignation beneath the cheerfulness, made Mark's chest tighten. Before he could respond, a nurse appeared in the doorway, looking harried. "Mr. Jenkins? We've been looking everywhere for you. Dr. Patterson is waiting." Mark nodded, gathering his children. "We have to go, but it was nice meeting you, Kate." "The pleasure was all mine," she replied, and then, with a conspiratorial wink at Ethan, "Come back and visit sometime. I'll tell you what happens to the little prince." As Mark herded his children out, he found himself glancing back at Kate. Something about her stayed with him, her warmth, her easy way with Ethan, the sadness lurking beneath her smile. He couldn't have known then that this accidental meeting would change everything. The next day, Mark found himself standing outside Kate's room, a small potted plant in one hand and Ethan's copy of The Little Prince in the other. He'd told himself it was just a friendly gesture, no one should be alone in a hospital, but the flutter in his stomach suggested something else entirely. He knocked softly, half hoping she might be asleep or with another visitor, giving him an excuse to leave the plant with a nurse and retreat. But her voice called out, "Come in," and he found himself pushing open the door. Kate looked surprised to see him, but her face lit up. "The escape artist's dad returns," she said, setting aside a magazine. "Without his accomplices this time." Mark smiled, suddenly feeling awkward. "They're with my sister today. I brought you this." He placed the plant on her windowsill. "And Ethan insisted I bring his book. He thought you might want to compare notes." Kate's eyes softened. That's incredibly sweet. Both of you. She gestured to the chair beside her bed. Sit. Unless you're in a hurry. He wasn't. In fact, Mark stayed for nearly 2 hours, their conversation flowing effortlessly from books to music to the challenges of raising triplets alone. Kate listened intently, asking thoughtful questions about the children, laughing at his stories of parental mishaps. It wasn't until a nurse came in to administer medication that Mark realized how much time had passed. As he stood to leave, he hesitated. Would it be okay if I came back tomorrow? Maybe with the kids? Only if you're feeling up to it, of course. Something flickered across Kate's face, uncertainty, perhaps, or caution. Mark, I should probably tell you something before you make that offer. She took a deep breath. I have stage 4 ovarian cancer. The treatments aren't working anymore. I'm here because... She trailed off, but the implication was clear. Mark felt as if the floor had tilted beneath him. I'm so sorry, he said, the words feeling woefully inadequate. Kate shrugged, a gesture that tried for nonchalance but couldn't quite achieve it. It is what it is. But that's why I should warn you, getting attached to me right now isn't the wisest move. Especially with children involved. Mark considered her words, looking at this woman he barely knew but already felt drawn to. How about we let me worry about that, he said finally. The kids and I would still like to visit. If you want us to. Kate studied him for a long moment, then nodded. I'd like that very much. What began as occasional visits soon became daily ones. Mark would bring the triplets after school, and they would fill Kate's room with noise and laughter. Ellie would show Kate her drawings, Emma would read aloud from whatever book they were bringing, and Ethan would simply curl up beside Kate on the bed, content to be near her. On days when Kate was too tired or in too much pain for the children's energy, Mark would come alone, sometimes just sitting quietly beside her while she slept. The hospital staff watched this unusual relationship with a mixture of concern and tenderness. One evening, as Mark was leaving, Kate's oncologist, Dr. Patel, stopped him in the hallway. Mr. Jenkins, could I have a word? Mark braced himself, expecting a gentle suggestion that he should prepare the children for the inevitable. Instead, Dr. Patel said something that caught him completely off guard. I don't know what kind of magic you and your children are working, but Kate's latest scans show her tumors have stopped growing. The doctor's expression was cautiously optimistic. It's not remission, not yet, but it's the first positive sign we've seen in months. Mark felt a surge of hope so powerful it nearly knocked him off his feet. What does that mean for her prognosis? Dr. Patel shook her head. I can't make promises. But where we were measuring her remaining time in months, we might now be looking at a year or more. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. When Mark shared this news with Kate the next day, she cried, the first time he'd seen her break down since they'd met. I wasn't afraid of dying, she confessed, wiping away tears. I was afraid of not living enough first. 2 weeks later, Kate was discharged from the hospital to continue her treatment as an outpatient. Without discussing it, Mark offered his guest room, and Kate accepted. What might have seemed rushed to outsiders felt natural to them. They'd spent more hours together in that hospital room than many couples spend together in months of dating. The triplets were ecstatic to have Kate home with them. They quickly adjusted their routines to accommodate her needs, being quieter when she needed rest, helping with simple chores when she had the energy to teach them. Kate, in turn, brought a gentle order to the previously chaotic household. She introduced family dinner times where everyone shared their day, started a tradition of bedtime stories, and somehow managed to get all 3 children to pick up their toys without complaint, a feat Mark had never accomplished. As summer turned to fall, Kate's strength gradually returned. Her hair began to grow back, soft and downy as a baby bird's. The color returned to her cheeks. Dr. Patel used the word responding more frequently during their appointments, though she remained cautious about using terms like recovery or remission. One evening, As Mark and Kate sat on the porch swing watching the triplets chase fireflies in the yard, Kate turned to him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "I need to ask you something," she said, her voice serious. "And I need you to be completely honest." Mark nodded, suddenly nervous. "Is this arrangement, is it just because you feel sorry for me? Because you think the kids need a mother figure? Or because you feel responsible for me somehow?" The question caught him off guard. "Kate, no. God, no." He took her hand, noticing how much stronger her grip had become over the past months. "I'm here, we're all here, because we want to be. Because somehow, in the middle of all this, we became a family." Kate's eyes filled with tears. "I've been afraid to hope for that. Afraid to let myself love all of you too much, in case you have to leave us," Mark finished for her. He squeezed her hand. "I know. But here's the thing about love, it's always a risk. Even without cancer in the picture. I lost the triplets' mother not to death, but to her own choices. She decided one day that she didn't want to be a wife or mother anymore, and she left." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "What I'm trying to say is, none of us ever knows how much time we have. All we can do is make the most of it." Kate was quiet for a long moment, watching the children play. Finally, she said, "Then I don't want to waste any more time being afraid." She turned to face him fully. "I love you, Mark Jenkins. I love your children. And if you'll have me, for however long we get, I want to be part of this family for real." Mark felt his heart swell. "Catherine Chen, are you proposing to me?" She laughed, the sound bright in the evening air. "I guess I am. Is that okay?" Instead of answering with words, Mark leaned forward and kissed her, their first kiss, somehow both tentative and certain at the same time. When they pulled apart, they realized they had an audience. The triplets had stopped their game and were watching with wide eyes. "Does this mean Kate's going to be our mom now?" Emma asked, her voice hopeful. Mark looked at Kate, letting her answer. "If that's something you all want," Kate said carefully. "I would be honored to be your mom." The children's response was immediate and enthusiastic. They rushed the porch, enveloping Kate in a group hug that nearly knocked her off the swing. Mark watched, his heart so full it felt like it might burst. They were married 3 weeks later in a small ceremony in the hospital chapel, Kate's idea, a way of honoring the place where their story began. Dr. Patel was there, along with many of the nurses who had cared for Kate. Mark's sister served as maid of honor, while the triplets shared the duties of flower girls and ring bearer. As they exchanged vows, Mark was struck by the journey that had brought them to this moment, from a chaotic hospital chase to standing here, promising forever to a woman who had once been told she had only months to live. The following year was not without challenges. Kate's cancer remained, requiring ongoing treatment and careful monitoring. There were bad days when the pain returned with a vengeance, days when she was too exhausted to get out of bed. But there were far more good days, days filled with family outings, home-cooked meals, homework help, and bedtime stories. On the 1-year anniversary of their first meeting, Mark took Kate back to the hospital, not for treatment, but to visit the room where Ethan had first burst in on her. The room was occupied by another patient now, but a kind nurse allowed them a quick peek when it was empty during a procedure. Standing in the doorway, Kate leaned against Mark's side. "I was preparing to die in this room," she said softly. "Instead, I found a reason to live." Mark wrapped his arm around her waist, marveling at how much stronger she felt now compared to a year ago. Her latest scans had shown continued improvement, not a cure, but what Dr. Patel now cautiously called long-term management. "You know what I think?" Mark said, pressing a kiss to her temple. "I think Ethan knew exactly what he was doing when he ran in here." Kate laughed. "Playing matchmaker at 5 years old? That's quite a talent." "Well, he is exceptional," Mark said with mock seriousness. "They all are. Just like their mother." Kate's eyes shimmered with tears at the word mother, a title she still sometimes couldn't believe was hers. "Take me home," she whispered. "To our family." As they walked hand in hand out of the hospital, Mark reflected on the strange, beautiful journey that had brought them together. One impulsive dash down a hospital corridor had changed everything, proving that sometimes, the wrong turn leads exactly where you're meant to be. Life offers no guarantees about how long we have with the people we love. Kate's cancer might return aggressively tomorrow, or she might live to see the triplets graduate college. But Mark had stopped worrying about the future they couldn't control and focused instead on the present they could fill with love. Each day together was a gift, one they had almost missed if not for a mischievous 5-year-old and the wrong hospital room. If you found this story touching, please remember to like and subscribe for more content that celebrates life's unexpected journeys. Sometimes our greatest blessings arrive through our most chaotic moments, and the wrong turn can lead us exactly where we need to be.